Hidden Potential: The Science of Achieving Greater Things by this guy, Adam Grant. Now, this guy is actually a genius. Adam Grant, I've read 2 of his books so far. Think Again and now Hidden Potential. And this dude is smart as crap, man. I read his books, they are good. So I completely recommend them. I'm saying that at the beginning of the video. Hidden Potential was actually one that kind of spoke to me. I felt like, I know it speaks to a lot of people, but this is one that actually really kind of spoke to me, especially in the moment. I was kind of, looking down, thinking that, oh, I can't do this because of this, or I can't do that because of that. And this one was kind of like, hey, chill out kind of thing. That's how it kind of felt like, in a way. So in this video, I'm kind of just going to be going over some of the cool points I found from the book. Share those, timestamps in the description and link in the description to the book. And the initial idea of the book is actually, you don't have to be super smart or talented in anything to reach your potential, in a way. That's kind of what the main idea of the book is. You really don't need to have above average skills or something to become great, something like that. That's kind of the main idea of the book. He talked about that in the beginning, and the book kind of went more in depth of like that initial idea. So yeah, basically everyone has hidden potential. It doesn't matter who you are or what cards you're dealt, you have hidden potential. He mentions discipline and growth as a person, instead of just like being naturally gifted at a young age or just being naturally gifted at something. He actually does consider growing as a person. And let's say you wanted to pursue basketball, you're not going to be super good at basketball. All the best basketball players were never super good. Yeah, they were gifted height as a genetic, but they still had to put the time in. They still had to grow, they still had to learn, they still had to get good, basically. So that's one really cool thing, is that just growing as a person is so very important to reach your full potential. If you're stuck acting like a kid, you're never going to become that awesome adult that you want to be. So that's something that I realized. Me personally, I act like a kid a lot still. The book actually kind of told me, hey, you need to learn how to grow. You need to grow, get rid of old ways of thinking and grow as a person, get more disciplined, responsible, stuff like that. Just create that mindset, a growth mindset. That was a cool idea that I got from the book. He kind of does also talk more about character skills to reach your potential, instead of actual, like, more intrinsic skills instead of extrinsic skills. Character skills, like a growth mindset, like I just mentioned previously, that would technically be an intrinsic skill if you can, regularly have a growth mindset. Being a determined person, so whatever you're going for, just keep going for it, being so determined for it that you're just so focused on it, nothing can kind of get in your way. That was another character skill he talked about. He also did kind of talk about getting out of your comfort zone. In certain ways, in certain circumstances, you're going to eventually have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to pursue your dreams or, your goals, whatever it may be. Like for me, as much as I don't want to talk about me, but I'm, giving you an example from the book and then giving you a personal example. For me, YouTube, I had to really step out of my comfort zone. Each and every time I press the record button, I have to step outside my comfort zone. It's pretty crazy. But I look back 7-8 months ago at my first video, I cringe a little, but then I realize how much I've grown since then. So that makes me want to keep going. And that does actually prove that stepping out of your comfort zone does work. This can mean trying something new. This can mean talking to some strangers or talking to like pretty girls or something like that. Something that you're normally afraid of doing, and then going out and doing it. And then eventually you gain the experience. From the experience, you learn and you grow. So it's pretty interesting. Instead of just learning from straight watching other people do it or reading about it, something like that, you're actually going out there and doing it. So that was another cool point about the book, or that he mentioned in the book. So the third cool point he kind of mentioned was that progress is not really linear. It's not really a linear line. It's kind of in circles in a way. You're not really just going from point A to point B. You might have to go to point A to point D to point E to point B, then back to A, then all of a sudden you're at Z for some reason. So progress isn't really linear. You have to try different things and it's not always going to be in order, one after the other steps. Sometimes you're going to have to, learn one whole thing in order to emphasize this thing. This thing is actually what you wanted to learn, but you had to learn something completely different in order to understand the initial thing. And that process alone can take a while. That's why progress kind of happens in loops. It doesn't really happen in a linear fashion. I thought it kind of happened, you go from like a staircase, you kind of step, but really he kind of mentioned it's more like spirals up. So you're not really stepping, oh, cat in the background. You're not really stepping towards your goal. You're kind of making progress up towards your goal. So really interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. A fourth cool point that he mentioned in the book is once you start to see a decline in performance, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going backwards. Actually, you might be actually going forward. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward. I've seen that happen a lot in my life. I've done that a lot, actually, to either build more muscle. I had to kind of put certain things behind. He mentioned in the picture, it's like you're at the top of the mountain starting to go down, but actually you started at the bottom of the mountain, but you're all the way up here, and now you're just starting to go down. And kind of like a stock market diagrams, you're going to go back up. So once that little peak of you dropping down, don't be discouraged, because the only way is up, in a way. Depending on how far down you go, sometimes you have to take a big step back to take a huge step forward. And usually winning, he actually said this in the book. I don't know if it's quote unquote, but he said winning is actually an accumulation of small wins. So you're not really, a big win isn't really just a big win. It's actually the accumulation of small wins over time. Small good habits, I guess you can say. I think the 1% rule and the slight edge have also mentioned this as well. Just the small actions you take every day can lead to big results, big wins. That's another cool point from the book. I think that was pretty cool. You see it mentioned a few times in a few other books, then that's actually an idea to work off of, start chasing the small wins, read 10 pages a day or do 10 push-ups a day, just something small, and then eventually work your way up to something big. So that's pretty cool. And then the fifth cool point from the book, it was actually the whole last chapter. I thought this whole last chapter was pretty good. He talked about the story of this astronaut who tried to get into NASA for several years and kept getting rejected. He kept learning, trying to work and get in, and then just kept getting rejected, but eventually he got in. Eventually he did. So that whole story just kind of was like, whoa, kind of just showed the idea of what this whole book was kind of talking about was someone's hidden potential, and a good example of what he actually meant, So the whole last chapter was really cool. It kind of explained, believe in yourself, even if other people don't believe in you. If you believe in something and you want to achieve it, then go for it, keep learning and keep growing. And eventually you'll get to your goals. You'll get to wherever you want to go. It doesn't matter. Just believe. That's really what the whole final chapter was talking about, and I just thought it was awesome. So overall, I do actually rate this book a good 8.5 out of 10. This book was actually pretty good. I really liked it. I think if you're into kind of I don't think it matters. If you got a pursuit in life, then read this book, and I'm sure it would open up your eyes to some pretty cool things, as it did for me. At the end of the book, he does give actions for impact, so you can kind of use that as initial ideas and points that he's given throughout the book. I like how he did that with his other book too. So I like how he does that. That's pretty cool. Adam Grant is awesome. He's a genius, I swear. He's super smart. And yeah, I'm actually enjoying making some of these book videos. If you got anything in the comments, let me know. Any recommendations, any feedback, anything. I kind of got which I might make a separate video on. But right now I got a journal and I got a list of books that I'm reading throughout the whole half of the year right now. So I'm going to keep up with that. Make reviews on each and every book I read. And yeah, have fun with this YouTube thing, So doing a lot of that, working a lot on the channel, making better thumbnails, getting better at talking, just getting better overall. It's pretty nice. More book reviews on the way, more jiu-jitsu videos on the way, a lot more stuff on the way. So we're growing every day, you know, taking the advice from the book and just seeing what happens, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.